Griffith.com. Well, I just watched a film called The Judge, and I thought it was very, very good film, a very good documentary. And it's directed by Robert Griffith, also produced by Al Calderaro. And I have both of them here. So we're going to talk to both of them about the film, The Judge. First, let me start off with Robert. How you doing, Robert?
Doing very well, thanks.
Okay, you directed this film. Why did you direct this film? What was your interest in Bob, the Judge?
I originally started my career working in television and film departments and news and documentary work. So I actually had a firsthand experience, a lot of experience with what was going on in the judge's courtroom. And so then years went by and didn't really think a whole lot more about it until Al contacted me about possibly doing a documentary on the judge. So that rekindled all of my experience. And we got together and decided it would make it should make a good film. And I'll let Al tell a little more of the backstory, but that's pretty much how I got involved.
Yeah, Al, tell us a little bit more. And also, Al, did you know the judge?
I did not know the judge. I knew who he was, but I do know his son. And that's how I got into the being interested in making the documentary. I moved into
you knew Mark.
Yes,
you knew Mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I moved into an office in a building that Mark owned. And someone asked me why the judge was famous. I told them what I knew. And that got me interested in finding out more. The more I found out, the more interesting the judge became. And I thought it would make a good documentary. Started looking around for somebody to direct. Somebody told me about Bob. I got in touch. We talked about the idea, and Bob also thought it was a good idea for a documentary. So that's how it started. So the judge became more and more interesting as the process went on.
Yeah, I unfortunately I never heard of him because he was in Richmond, Virginia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But he was appointed to the district court by one of the best presidents that we had, LBJ. And even though it was many years ago. And now, Robert, now Al approached you about directing this, and you said, "Oh yeah, it'd be very interesting." What was interesting about Bob, the judge? What was interesting about him to you?
Well, again, because I started my career in my early 20s working in television, so I was working out of Richmond, Virginia, as well as Washington, D.C. And a lot of the cases that are in the film were popping up, and news outlets were covering those things. So again, a lot of firsthand experience for me, but a lot of years went by after that as I became an independent filmmaker. And so when Al came, when he came to me with the idea, I definitely knew that the judge was, I used to call him an icon in the legal world. And I just thought, yeah, we're based in Richmond. He's well known in a lot of circles there. And I thought that we would be able to raise the funds, which is always the hard part. The idea was good. So we worked on everything on the finances for a good 8 months to a year. And then the film got launched. Yeah.
Oh.
But again, my background in television gave me a good insight, a really up close insight to the judge when Al talked about possibly doing this film.
Well, just a little bit. You said you were in television. What were you producing? Commercials? Were you producing television shows or directing television shows?
No. I worked in news and documentary departments. Back when I started, everything was film. Video was something that happened up in the studios. Everything in the field was done on film. So we actually had film departments, and I was the head of one film department for about 2 years. And the news department would draw from us when they needed someone to film, to go out on a story, a feature story or news story. And then, of course, documentaries that were done from time to time. So, you know, it was always a front row seat to a lot of things going on all over the place, as it still is today.
Yeah.
But after that, I moved into the world of being an independent filmmaker, and of course, spent a lot of years trying to get that off the ground, which it finally happened. But by the time Al talked to me about this, I was well under my way with a body of work. So that's my background, and I think for me it was not a hard choice to try to make this film.
Oh, good. Now, Al, let's talk about two of the cases that I'm very interested in. First of all, in 1970, the desegregation of schools and things like that, and how he tried to do his best for that, but how really the people really hated him. They tried to burn down his house and threats to his family. Can you talk a little bit about that, what he did for that, Al?
Well, I mean, one of the guiding principles of the judge's career was doing the right thing and doing the fair thing. So he believed in America, and what he saw was everyone's supposed to have the same opportunity. And he saw this whole group of people who were being denied equal opportunity because of the color of their skin. So he set about trying to rectify that and to also implement the rulings that had come down from the Supreme Court to desegregate the schools. Because of that, there was a tremendous backlash here in Richmond, which was the capital of the Confederacy.
Right.
And the judge was a Yankee. He was from Brooklyn. He was born in Brooklyn, New York. So he wasn't a native. And yeah, I mean, he was under a lot of pressure, death threats, burning his guest house, shooting his dog. But, you know, he was a World War II veteran, flew many combat missions over Germany and Austria. And what he would say is that, you know, Hitler couldn't kill me, so these people aren't going to kill me. And he just kept doing his job, which is how he saw it. That was his job. He didn't like, you know, things to be not right, not fair. He believed that we're all citizens of America. We're obviously not guaranteed the same outcomes, but we should be guaranteed the same opportunities.
Right.
And he saw that was not happening. And it just didn't seem right to him. And so he tried to make it, he tried to make the dream of America a reality for everyone, which is what it should be.
And another case in the 1970s was that the University of Virginia, before that, did not admit women. I didn't know that because I thought women can go to any school they wanted to once they graduate from high school, but except for African Americans. I know a few of them could not go to every university or college that they wanted to, but women overall, I thought they can go everywhere. And I didn't realize that Virginia was one of the last states to admit women in the university system. He worked on that also.
And the state of Virginia, the flagship state university was the University of Virginia, which from its founding in the early 1800s had been a single-sex institution, men only. And it was the same, it struck the judge in the same way. It's like, okay, so we have half of the taxpayers here in the state of Virginia are barred from attending the state university. That just doesn't seem fair. I mean, it just didn't seem fair. It didn't seem right. And so that was his point. And that's the point he made to the rectors of the state of university, was that you should admit women because it's a state university. It's taxpayers. It's like you're denying them equal opportunity. In that case, based on sex. In the school segregation cases, based on race. So these, as he saw them, superficialities were denying people opportunity that they should be guaranteed under the Constitution. And that just didn't seem fair to him. And so that was his reasoning. This is not the right thing to do. This is not the fair thing to do. This is a democracy. Let's make it democratic.
And Robert, while you was researching this and also shooting this too, like you said, you were living through some of these cases as they were going on. Were you amazed about how much detail that Bob had to go through as a judge in order to, let's say, do the right thing in his courtroom?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll give you an example of one of the up-close encounters I had. You're familiar with the Keepone case on the James?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, I was assigned to go down to Hopewell, Virginia, a TV station I was doing work for at the time. And the Keepone little plant where Keepone was being manufactured and at the same time being disposed into the James, we were trying to film from the public side. We were right on the edge of a public road, and we were approached at that time by a little security detail. I didn't really at the time realize just how intense that situation was going to become. And this was in the early days, really in the investigative days. But the security people, of course, couldn't do anything. We continued to film what we could see through the steel fence. But of course, as time went on, that case became one of the biggest environmental disasters in U.S. history. And the way these cases came to his court and the way he administered the rulings, quite fascinating. And he worked by the rule of law, and that was true throughout his career.
Yeah, and Al, there's one statement that he made, even though he was a Democrat, he was not loyal to the party, but he was loyal to the law. He loved the law because the law gave him a lot in life, you know, a living, and also not only that, an enjoyment too.
Yes.
Yeah, it provided him with, you know, a lot of opportunities. And, you know, he, you know, as you say, he was not loyal to the person who appointed him. He was loyal to the law, which is what we saw, you know, recently, where we had a president who was expecting judges that he had appointed to be loyal to him, was surprised to discover they were actually loyal to the law. And it was like, he just couldn't believe it because he didn't understand the principles of democracy. He didn't understand how it's supposed to work. He didn't understand the Constitution. He didn't understand the rule of law, not men. But that's what the judge lived every day of his life. All those things. He was loyal to the law, not to President Johnson, who he probably admired because the judge had been a member of the Democratic Party before he got to the bench. But he was not working for Lyndon Johnson. He was working for the Constitution. He was working for the people of the United States.
Right.
He recognized that, as I said, where some, you know, recent political leaders did not seem to understand that.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man, I hate to go through that, but that's another discussion.
Yeah. It's a long one.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Robert. Thank you, Al, for taking time with me, Al McGee and YA Ticket, The Judge. I really enjoyed that documentary because I said, wow, I never knew him because, you know, unfortunately, you know, when you trying to get education and things like that, it doesn't show you all the detail of great people who really made a change in your life, your own personal life. And many people don't realize that a person like Bob, the district judge, did make an impact on my life and your life too. I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good talking to you. Thanks.
I really had a great time. Enjoy your rest of the day and much success with the film. And I'm going to let everybody know.
This is your entertainment ticket. Latest and greatest.